Okay, Shalom. I'd like to first start out by giving all honor, glory, praise to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that teach this truth and rule well. Shalom to you, sincere Akim, that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, that's pushing this truth in sincerity and in charity. My name is Yeremia, out of the GMS Indianapolis camp, the branch out here in Indianapolis, Indiana. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, just going to do a, quick hit lesson, just based off this article right here. All right, and it says toll of Air India disaster rests at 260 as focus turns to crash report. All right, and this is a judgment that the Lord has brought upon these individuals right here. It goes on to say that it says Indian forensic investigators have identified all 260 people killed in last month's crash of a London-bound passenger plane. It says health authorities said Wednesday. It says ahead of a hugely anticipated preliminary report into what went wrong. It says India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is leading the probe into one of the deadliest air disasters in decades, with an initial report expected on Friday. It says all but one of the 242 people aboard the Air India Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner were killed when it crashed on June 12th. It says it plowed into housing just after takeoff in the western city of Ahmedabad. It says, and authorities have also identified 19 people killed on the ground. It says no details have been released about the probe, in which British and U.S. Air Incident Investigation agencies have also taken part. Salaki, it says, but specialists website, the Air Current, citing multiple sources familiar with investigation, reported it had narrowed its focus to the movement of the engine fuel switches, while noting that full analysis will take months, if not longer. It says it added that the focus of the investigators could change during that time. It says, but at this point in the inquiry, the data available. It's like it says the data available to investigators does not indicate a mechanical or design issue with the 787 plane or its engines. And, so they they went and looked and did an inspection on the plane. They said nothing was wrong, right? But ultimately we know through the Spirit that this was all the works and doings of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay. It says the site said its sources indicated that post-accident analysis showed no sign of fuel contamination or improper retraction of the aircraft's flaps, over which there had been speculation. All right. And through the Spirit, this is clearly judgment. All right. This is clearly the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai bringing judgment, man. Okay. This is the book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai hath not done it? All right, that's the point I wanted to grab. It says, shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai hath not done it? Because at the end of the day, the Lord takes credit for, all the evil, all the all the death. Okay. These people being deleted on the earth. Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai is in control of all that. All right, he takes credit, for all that, man. Okay, 260 people deleted on that plane. All right, that was all the works of Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai. All right, what does it say? It says, "Well, I kill, I make alive." All right. It's Deuteronomy. Yeah, it's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 39. It says, see now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. It says, I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. All right. So this is Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai. All right. The true and living power. Okay, the only true and living power, man. All right. It says there is no God with me, man. And in the book of Psalms, it says that the guy, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that because I don't want to butcher it. Just to make a quick point. Yeah, kind of. This is Psalms chapter 96 and verse 5. It says, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai made the heavens. All right, so I'm gonna go back to that Deuteronomy, right? Because I'm gonna go ahead and read this again. This is Psalms chapter 32, Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 39. It says, see now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. Okay, because all these other, so-called gods, of the other nations are really idols, and they don't possess any power, man. All right, so them Elamites in that plane, they could have been, they was probably praying to those idols, that they worship, and they couldn't deliver them out of that. They couldn't deliver them out of that plane crash, right? Okay, because because it goes to show you, Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai is the only and true living power, man. All right. And he takes credit, the Lord takes credit, for doing this, because at the end of the day, he's the same one, he's the same power that's doing it. It says, I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. All right. Hey, man, so them idols that they was praying to, they couldn't deliver them out of the judgment of Yahweh Ba'ashem Ashai. Man. And we're entering into a time to where the Lord is just going to bring even more, more and more of these deletions. Over there in Texas, it was like more than 100, and the body count is still rising. All right, over there in Texas, it was More than 100 people died in a flash flood. All right, and they said they're still finding bodies, man. All right. So that's all the doings of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, man. You know. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it off right there, man. You know, just want to do something real quick. You know, I got some downtime at the plantation. You know, I like to give all honor, glory, praise to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, or Hakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that teach us truth and real well. Wa Shalom to sincere Akim that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. That's pushing this truth in sincerity and in charity. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom.